Welcome to the Roads We've Traveled, episode 13. How is everyone doing today? My name is AJ Pelletier, and thank you again for tuning in and subscribing and all that jazz. Hope everyone is doing well. As I'm recording this, it's thundering outside, so if you hear that on the audio, I do apologize, and hopefully this doesn't get cut out or anything. So if it does, then we're going to have problems. But anyway, I'm here today with bassist John Hansson from Fear the Masses. What's going on, man?
What's up, man? How are you?
Good. I pronounced that right?
You did.
Okay.
Yep. Think Hansson like the Hansson brothers. Try going through high school in the early 90s with that last name.
Oh, God, I'm sorry. Just walking down the halls, all you hear is, bop.
Oh, God. Thanks for the PTSD flashback.
My apologies. I had it worse. I'll oh God, I don't even know if I should be telling anybody this story, but I don't care at this point. I actually used to know the choreography to Bye 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 from NSYNC, so that was a long time ago. So I think I had it a little bit worse because I thought that's how you got girls back in middle school, and I was so wrong. So
A valiant effort, anyhow.
Yeah, well. It is what it is. I mean, like, hey, I figured out then that I like performing. So, I mean, it's not all bad. I just was playing the wrong music. So,
right.
So how's life been during quarantine for you?
Well, I'm a pretty type A individual, so it's been kind of tough. Being out of work and all is a pretty big factor for me.
Are you still out of work?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, unfortunately. I work in the entertainment industry, so it's going to be quite some time before I get back to work. I travel around to all the arenas in New England and set up and tear down all the shows in the big arenas. So once that starts happening, Meadows in Hartford opens up, Civic Center. Well, now the Xfinity Center in Hartford, Centrum. Well, now, well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Mohegan Sun, Dunkin' Donuts Center. I travel all over the place. So until those guys start doing something again, I'll be at home with woodworking projects.
That's got to be an awesome job, though. I mean, like, what are some of the biggest shows that some of your favorite shows that you worked at?
Oh, hands down, my favorite one. Well, I have two favorites. I got to the last time Slayer came to Mohegan Sun. They came with Behemoth. They came with Randy Blythe, Lamb of God. That one was a lot of fun. Perfect Circle came when they came. That was amazing. Mainly for personal reasons. Those are like I love Perfect Circle, and I actually, when they came, I got assigned to help. Lo and behold, help the bassist set up his gear. So the whole time I'm working, getting paid to work, I'm chit-chatting with this guy about his gear and like what he does and like how, fanboying a little bit. Unfortunately, we got to keep that under wraps because we're not allowed to like really interact with the artist too much. We're not supposed to unless they engage us.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I even got to play a couple of his basses too. So it was pretty freaking incredible for me.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Slayer, when they came, I have a bad habit of smoking cigarettes.
No.
I know, but we had finished setting them up, and I was out on the dock smoking a butt, and I'm just kind of fiddling on my phone, not paying much attention like everybody does nowadays. And I look up, who do I see? Randy motherfucking Blythe. And he made eye contact with me. He as he's walking by me, my whole internal body is just like shaking crazily, just trying to keep it together. And he walks by and he gives me a bro nod and pats me on the shoulder. I could have fucking died. I could have died and been the happiest I've ever been. So
you held it together.
Oh, I did. I held it together barely. Like the second he got out of sight, I was like, oh my God. Did you see what just happened? And everybody was like, why? Who was that? I'm like, oh my, you cretins. But
it was
a lot of fun.
I hear you. I've had my buddy John Michael on here, and he actually toured with Gemini Syndrome for a while, and he played I think a festival show with Lamb of God, and he was like standing next to Randy Blythe while Randy was like taking pictures of like other bands and just hanging out with the guys, backstage and everything. And he's just like looking
Yeah.
to his left, looking to his right, and he was like, "I'm dead. Like there's no other explanation for this. Like I must be dead. I'm hanging out with my idols right now and just shooting the shit with them." But as long
Yeah.
as you're always cool, you know what I mean? Like they're usually, very cool and take care of people and stuff like that. So
Yeah, mostly all the artists that I've ever worked with have all been really cool. There's been a few bad eggs,
yeah.
but you'll find them everywhere.
Yeah, I've had my share.
Yeah.
If you listen to episode 8 with my boy Blue, well, that was a loud one. Sorry, thunder outside. Episode 8 of my podcast, I had Blue Rivera on, and I went into detail about how I almost got into a fight with Travis Meeks of Days of the New. So,
Oh, jeez.
that was a rough night.
I'd imagine so.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to go into detail, but if any of my listeners want to go back and listen to it, you can hear in full detail what happened that night. I would have fully went to jail that night and would not have cared, and my band would have probably gotten a lot of great press from it. So, but that's an awesome job, dude, man. I'm sorry that you're out of work right now and everything. Are you still collecting or?
Actually, no. Unemployment and state aid has been absolutely dicking me around. I haven't received a single solitary cent.
Holy fuck! It's been what, like 3
2
months
months.
now? 2 months
Yeah,
now?
almost 3. Yeah, almost 3. March 13th is when Mohegan is my primary job.
Yeah.
But I pimp myself out to other arenas. But yeah, it was March 13th was my last day of work at Mohegan. But ever since then, like it's been, I don't know. I guess I just got a bum social security number. I'm at the very bottom of the list because I haven't gotten a damn thing.
Oh, that sucks, man. I wish there was something I could do for you, but you just got to keep fighting it. You know what I mean? Like it's the only way you're gonna hear anything.
Yeah. Luckily, I mean, I'm pretty good. My hustle genes are pretty good. So since then, like, I mean, I love projects. I love making stuff. So I mean, I started making bass guitars actually, and started making guitars and selling those, and random like woodworking projects on like Etsy and blah 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 blah. My personal opinion, like, I mean, this day and age sucks, and it's hard. It's hard for everybody. But I mean, this is America, and America was built off of the middleman, being the middleman, making money somehow, some way. Sometimes it's harder than other times, but there is always another option.
I hear you. It's awesome though that you got wood crafting and stuff like that. My buddy Cody, who took over for me and then the Red before he left, he does a lot of woodworking himself too. But you make your own guitars. Yep. That's pretty fucking awesome, man.
Yeah,
I wish I had a skill like that. I just know I can draw. That's all I could do.
Right. Yeah, it's I mean that's been a really big learning curve. Like I mean, it's really easy to buy like a kit guitar off of like Amazon or whatnot and put it all together, but like they never really come out quite right. Or not up to my personal standard, which is stupid. But yeah, just if we got nothing better to do, and I love doing it anyhow, so why not really learn how to do it?
There you go. I mean, you got all the time now, you know what I mean? So good for you, man.
Yeah.
So where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Worcester County, Massachusetts. Bounced around a lot. Well, I bounced around quite a bit as a kid, but primarily like Webster, Massachusetts. I don't really tell too many people that because Webster's kind of a shithole. But yeah, that's where I say it. I went to high school in Webster, so that's probably the best bet.
Well, you won't hear any shit from me because I don't know where Webster is. But I mean, I grew up in Waterbury, Connecticut, and it's kind of a shithole too. So.
Oh yeah, yeah. Webster is right on the Connecticut-Massachusetts border.
Okay. Well, what was growing up like for you though? Do you have any siblings? Was like school okay growing up? Like, did you have any troubles growing up or anything like that?
Oh boy, yeah. I'll start with the good stuff.
Okay.
I have a brother, Joshua. He's 2 years younger than me, and I have a sister, Jessica, and she's 4 years younger than me. Yeah, we grew up, you know, broken household kind of a thing. Not too uncommon. You know, we grew up not
Oh, oh,
so.
can you repeat that? I lost the sound for a second.
I was saying that we grew up in not so great neighborhoods. You know, single mom doing the best that she can to make everything happen, and you know, for the most part, she did a great job. We're all still alive,
That's good.
but
Your dad wasn't in the picture at all, or?
no, that's actually another crazy story. I didn't actually. I met my dad for the first time 3 years ago. At this point.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, that was a pretty wild story. Like I grew up in Massachusetts, and I migrated to Connecticut. Ended up landing in Danielson, Connecticut, and I started a business there. Started to grow roots. I used to run a screen printing and embroidery company, and one day, well, I mean, all throughout my life, I'd always like Google to like try and find him and like figure out trying to make the connection.
Mm,
But one day I sat down on my computer and there's I got the people you may know kind of thing on Facebook,
mm.
and it turned out to be this lady named Christina Ledoux, and her kids went to high school with my kids. I have two children too, by the way,
Oh,
and uh, turns out, long story short, she's actually my aunt, and I had no fucking idea. So when I found her maiden name was attached to her new married name, who was in fact attached to my father's last name, and I found that out all through like public records. And so yeah, so then I made that connection, and then probably like 4 or 5 months later, I met my dad for the first time.
how'd that go?
Uh, I mean, at first, before we met, I mean, I heard he had mixed reactions, which is kind of understandable. You know, you don't see anybody for 30 some odd plus years, and then all of a sudden it pops up. I can only imagine what was going through his head.
Mm.
But I mean, after all that, we met at Dunkin' Donuts in Brooklyn, and then sat down and talked for the first time, and it went really well. And I still see him to this day. We still talk. He's doing pretty well. He actually just got married. Um, well, not just got married. He's been married for 2 years now, and yeah, he's doing pretty well, and all that went pretty well. Want to hear another wild story about that? So I used to date a girl, and her best friend was dating this kid named Matt Barks, and I was friends with this kid Matt for like 4 years. While I was dating Ashley was her name, and so when I figured out when I started making the connections about who my dad was and like how he was related to everybody, um, this lady Tracy Barks, who's also my other aunt, her name came up in the search too. So I called Matt. Well, I went on Facebook and did a little bit of creeping, and I realized that Tracy Barks has one mutual friend in common. Turned out to be Matt Barks. So I've been hanging out with this kid for about 4 years now, and turns out he's my first cousin.
Oh, no
And
shit.
yeah, had no freaking idea. It's been a really weird, wild ride.
So not to pry too much. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. But I mean, like what happened? Like, did your dad just like walk out when you were kids, or like did your parents separate and he just like cut all ties, or?
Well, I don't mind talking about it, but it was tough to hear the reasoning why, but I also kind of had an idea. My mom's a good person. You know, she give you the shirt off her back, but she's pretty difficult sometimes.
Mm,
And when my mom got pregnant with me, they were young. They were like 19 and 20. So, young people having babies, like we all know that story, that whole song and dance. It doesn't always work out, and they just couldn't make it work. So, eventually, like they came to the place where they decided it was best to split ways, and my mom thought it was best to raise us the way that she did, and I guess some part he had accepted it. I'm sure he's not I'm sure he's not completely absolved of the whole situation, but this was 30 some odd years ago that
mm.
all this happened. So not everybody really remembers, and at least accurately. And there's always three sides to a story. So,
Yeah.
you never really know.
Well, I mean, good for your mom for doing what she did and raising three kids by herself. That must have been really hard. And like I know people that go through that all the time.
Oh
But
yeah.
I mean that for to go like over 30 years and not knowing your father at all and then meeting him for the first time. That must have been, awkward and stressful at the same time. But I mean, it sounds like everything worked out though, which is really
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
So
yeah. For the most part, I got. I'm in my 30s now. I'm 37 now actually, and I have actually two 18-year-old boys right now. So I'm busy with my own life too. So
yeah.
it's been the biggest challenge of it all has been trying to melt it all together.
Mm. So you got two 18-year-old boys yourself. Oh, wow.
I do, I
How
do.
what are they doing for during this pandemic right now? Are they still in school or did they graduate and looking at colleges now or
They graduated. My oldest is looking at colleges, and my youngest is still undecided. He's my oldest is he's very scholastic, kind of nerdy, very smart, very driven. My youngest, he's a musician as well, um, so he embodies that uh, social butterfly, fly by wire, carefree kind of attitude. So he'll eventually find his way.
yeah. Well, it sounds like he's a chip off the old block, being a
Yeah,
musician and everything. So
yeah,
oh, that's cool, man.
yeah.
So you grew up in Massachusetts and then you migrated down to Connecticut. Besides like the whole broken home thing, like where was your head at like growing up through all this? Like, did you get bullied a lot growing up? Were you picked on? Did you deal with any sort of like mental illness or anything because of everything?
Yeah, yeah. There's been, there's a lot of things. Growing up, we grew up in almost chaotic kind of household. There's a lot of undiagnosed bipolar, in my personal opinion, in my household. So it was aggressive, uh, intense, very tense all the time. So that just kind of unfortunately shaped me in my earlier youth. Like when I was younger, I got bullied all the damn time.
Mm,
Not having the cool shoes, not having the cool clothes. Like, I was the oldest. So, my mom did the best she could, and but didn't always come to fruition as far as social standards were concerned.
yeah.
So I used to get bullied a lot, used to get picked on a lot, and then one day in high school, I just had enough, and there was this big kid. I'll leave his name out of this, but he pushed me into a soda machine,
Uh-oh.
and I was having a bad day, and instantly turned around, didn't look, threw a punch, caught him square in the nose. And that's when I realized, holy shit, I just punched this dude in the face. He's going to kill me. But then lo and behold, the blood started to pour and he just pussied out and walked off. Um, but then that unfortunately, well, that taught me to stand up for myself. But
Mm-hmm.
that also taught me, I used to be an aggressive asshole, to be completely honest with you. I had a very short fuse, and it took me a long time to level out and to come to terms with that. That's actually a big product of my children. My children actually taught me that patience and calmness and inner self awareness.
Mm. I hear you. I mean, like, not to totally rehash like stuff that I've already talked about in previous episodes, but I hear you, man. Like I got picked on for most of my life too. I mean, I had a bully follow me like pretty much all the way through high school, picked on me all the time. Like we're in the same trade together and everything. And, I would get beat up in the locker room all the time. Like some of the teachers at my school knew what was going on. They didn't do anything about it. So I was basically like defenseless. I had to try to defend myself as much as I could. And then it just got to a point where like, just briefly talking about it again. I know my listeners are probably getting sick of me talking about it, but like we had an advanced machine. I'm a machinist and for my day job, so I hate it. Like I would love to get out of it, but so we had a advanced site up at the community college in Waterbury for the advanced students or whatever, and I wasn't allowed to go because I wasn't advanced enough. But I ended up blackmailing my shop teacher into letting me go. Just so I can get out of the environment that I was in where I was getting picked on all the time. So like he was basically
Yeah,
letting these kids get away with everything and picking on me and skipping school and everything. So I was like, well, how about you let me go up there and I won't open my mouth about what you're letting these guys do down here to, the principal and, God knows who else. So later that
right.
day, the guy from the site came down. He was like, "Oh, I hear you want to come up to the site," and I was like, "Yeah, I do actually." He's like, "All right, here, have your parents sign this. We'll see you tomorrow."
Whatever, man. Sometimes the ends justify the means, or means
Exactly.
justify
So
the end, rather.
the rest of my school year was a breeze after that. But man, like dealing with it for a long time, on top of like dealing with my parents separating and my grandfather's health not was not great. Again, I was in a broken home environment too, so I struggle with depression for most of my life. I still do. I'm actually,
Yeah.
I went through therapy back in 2018 all through 2019 to just work on some stuff that was going on in my life, and I was heavily drinking too to like suppress everything. And it kind of like before this podcast started, like my drinking was kind of getting a little out of hand again, and I just started to realize that. So I'm actually going to go sober for a little while, I think. I mean, if I'm going to do any drinking at all, it'll probably be on the weekends as like a social thing. But like my drinking was like every day, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like no breaks at all. And it's just becoming a problem. And I just recognizing that and seeing how out of shape I was and how miserable I was, I just woke up. I was like, I got to change this, like I'm
Yep.
33. I gotta do something, I don't want to wind up looking like my father or dying like my grandfather did from a heart attack.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Some pretty serious stuff.
yeah.
But yeah, I went through a lot of the same thing too. I was married to my kid's mom, and when we were going through the divorce, that's what I referred to as the dark times. That was not a good time for me. A lot of bad habits, a lot of poor coping skills, but thankfully we're all out of that.
Yeah. Well, how did you cope? How did you get through it?
I focused on my kids. That was. I mean, my kids, man. I say it all the time, but if it wasn't for them, I don't know where I'd be. Yeah, when I found out that she was pregnant, I actually dropped out of high school and joined the army, and went off and did that. And the structure of the army, and you know the stress of the army, and the stress of having kids, and young marriage, like that, definitely did a great job of growing me up with the quickness. So
Did you have
it's a
to
good thing.
did you have to go overseas at all when you were enlisted?
Now I got super lucky.
Oh,
I didn't go anywhere. I was actually in training in my AIT, which is your job. You pick a job and then you go to
yeah.
AIT training for it. And I was actually in the day room when the Twin Towers fell. Um,
Jesus.
so, but yeah, after that, like I got super lucky. I don't know how, when that happened. I don't know how the hell I didn't go anywhere, but it worked
Yeah.
out.
My buddy was a Marine. He did his first and only tour in Iraq and passed away while he was over there. So this was like
Ah,
12,
it's
12
too
years
bad,
ago.
man.
Yeah.
That's
He
too
was
bad.
he's only 21. Sucks.
Yep.
But yeah, much respect to you though for, serving and everything. I always show respect to people who serve. I almost enlisted myself at 18, but my parents kind of tucked me out of it.
Yeah.
Just things back then were just like super crazy with
Right.
the war on terrorism and everything like that. But oh, that's
Yep.
awesome though that you say your kids helped you get through it. I mean, did you have to talk to anybody too, like any therapists or anything, or did you just focus solely on your kids and work and everything to get you through?
At the time, I was entirely too pig-headed and stubborn to go and talk to anybody. Talking to people is not something that comes naturally to me. It's something that I have to force myself to do.
Mm.
Um, but I
Am I
mean,
am
in
I
all,
forcing am I forcing you to talk too much?
no. This is different. This is different.
All right.
This is more fun, and I'm a little older now and a little more wiser than I used to be. But yeah, I never did the therapy thing. I mean, what I did when I was a kid, it was court mandated, and through some pretty hard, aggressive times in my childhood. But I mean, I just treated it like a joke and just told them what they wanted to hear, so that way they left me alone. And then when I became an adult, I was looking back on that and being like, "Wow, you dummy! You know how much trouble you might have saved yourself if you had just taken it seriously."
Yeah.
But I didn't, in my infinite wisdom as a youth. But
I hear you. I kind of was the same way when I first started going to therapy back in high school because like when my parents were separating, my mother kind of forced us to go to therapy, and I'm
yeah,
like, you can't really force people to do this, you know what I mean? Like, but at the time, it was just like I just felt like she was just trying to get answers for how we were feeling because we weren't talking to her, You know what I mean? But like, then I realized after, I was like, no, I kind of need this because like nobody seems to listen to me at all about how I'm feeling. So
Yeah.
I just opened up a little bit more. And even my high school counselor, like I would see her a lot or whatever. And like we'd talk about stuff and what was going on and everything. And she really got me through a lot of stuff too. So I definitely feel like therapy is awesome. And it's good, you know, to like every now and then you got to like take a look at yourself, and if you know you need help and you need help getting to where you need to get to, you know, it's always okay to talk to somebody and open up and just reset, you know what I mean, recharge, and just push forward from there. So
Yeah, man. I 100% agree with you. I think, I mean, I think it's really easy to get locked onto your own train tracks and, you know, just tunnel visioning yourself, especially when you hit adulthood and like, you know, all of the, you know, it's all on you now. Like you have nobody to take care of you other than you. So
exactly.
it's really easy to be like, this is what works. This is what I'm going to do. And then, you know, we all have skewed views of like who we are and what we do and the right way and the wrong way to go about and doing things. But every now and then I agree with you. It's great to have like a sounding board to like bounce this all this crazy shit that comes through my head, and to hear how dumb it is when somebody says it back to me, you know? So
You
that's
know what?
helpful.
You know, fitness is a great way too to get stress out and to like feel better. I've
Yeah.
noticed too since I started working out again, because before the pandemic hit, like I was going to the gym like at least like 4 or 5 times a week. And I work nights too, so it's like hard getting up in the morning to go to the gym to work out and then go work like a 10-hour shift after.
Yeah.
It sucked. But like I also have a history of back problems too. I've had surgery in the past, so like it's, you know, I got to watch what I'm doing. But like back in January, I had a flare up. I was literally getting out of my car and something happened with my back that put me out for a month. And I ended up having another MRI done. I had an injection done, and all it was just a pop. That's all it was. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's nothing damaged or anything like that. But like, I guess my spine just did something weird and snapped back into place, or I don't know. But it's what the doctor were telling me. But like all the scar tissue that built up from my previous surgery just like built up even more. But like, you know, he's telling me like, oh, it's probably going to happen again, and worst case scenario, you're going to have more surgery. But you know, fitness gets, you know, not to get off my back problems. Like fitness was the way like getting me through a lot of my depression and just getting me out of my head. And it sucked because like when I was laid out for that long, I was drinking, you know, I was out of work. I was just like feeling sorry about myself and everything. And then when I got cleared to go back, the pandemic hit, and then all the
Yep.
gyms closed. And I'm like, fuck, what am I going to do now? So then I just got even more low. And then I started this podcast to like kind of like take my mind off of stuff and like get to know my friends better. And it's been helping. And I've been waking up a little bit more and realizing that I still have things I need to work on. So I ended up buying a Total Gym.
There you
Just
go.
recently.
There you go.
I got a used Total Gym that I've been using at home now, and I've been doing some cardio videos at home. And man, Chuck Norris was right, man. That Total Gym kicks your ass, man. Like I got an older one, and it's just your body weight is your weight, and
Right.
I used it like 3 times already, and like literally the next day I'm like, oh my god, like I haven't lifted that much in my entire life. Like it's like my whole upper body was like, oh, and then my legs, I was like
Yeah.
doing the leg stuff, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm pushing it that hard. And then literally the next day my calves were on fire, my thighs were on fire, and I'm like, oh my god, like this thing is a miracle. But yeah, anybody listening, like if you think fitness is, you know, whatever, like give it a try. I mean, like it definitely gets the stress out. Your body feels so much better too, and takes your mind off of a lot of shit too. So
Yeah, I agree. There is a special kind of clarity that you find. 'Cause I used to box a lot when I was younger.
I wish I learned how
And
to box.
oh my God, dude, it is so fun. It's so fun for me. But I'm a weirdo that kind of likes to get punched in the face. So like, might not be for everybody, but
Yeah.
yeah, I started right before the pandemic happened. I found a gym that was literally right down the road from my house, and I started going there. And yeah, I totally realized, like after like day 3, I totally realized like how fat and out of shape I was, and how badly I shouldn't be smoking cigarettes anymore. And yeah, I definitely. And then the freaking pandemic happened, and then they closed down. So
Are you still
back to
smoking
square one.
cigarettes?
A lot less, boatload less. I struggle with depression, and definitely anxiety. So it's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard. I do have a naturally addictive personality, and
Mm.
so it's been that quitting completely is really hard for me. But
I
I
mean,
have slimmed down considerably.
like not to like promote vaping or anything. The only time I promote vaping is for people that need to quit or want to quit. But I actually work part time for a vape shop, and if you want to talk off air, we'll talk about it more. But like,
Yeah.
I haven't had a cigarette in 4 years now. I've been vaping
Wow.
for 4 years now. I was like a pack and a half a day smoker, and like right now, my nicotine in my vape juice is like the lowest you can get.
Right.
And like I can go to zero after that if I want to, but like it kind of takes the edge off a little bit, especially working two jobs and constantly
Mm-hmm.
being busy. Like now that I'm gonna be cutting back on drinking too, I still want something to like take the edge off a little bit because I'm stressed
Right.
out. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but I vape myself. I've and anybody that's listening right now that has their opinions about vaping, if you want to educate yourselves more on vaping, you can talk to me and you can talk to anybody at the place I work at, and we'll give you an education because a lot of the stuff the media has been putting out there is bullshit. Um, I've had my doctor tell me that my lungs have never sounded clearer. You know what I mean? He would religiously get on me like, you got to quit smoking cigarettes. You got to quit smoking cigarettes. Like your lungs sound like shit. And then
Yeah.
like after like a year of vaping, he was like, "Did you quit smoking?" I was like, "Well, I switched to vaping." He was like, "Well, whatever you're doing, keep it up because your lungs sound way better than they did since the last time I saw you." I was like, "Okay." So
Yeah.
that was the okay I needed, you know.
Yep.
So, but yeah, we could talk more about that later. But
Yeah. Of course.
I don't miss smoking cigarettes at all, and like just the smell of cigarettes, like even the taste of like tobacco, like today is like ugh to me.
Yeah.
um. So when did you start getting into music? Did when you started getting into it and everything, did it also help fight your depression and stuff?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I got into music in middle school. I started playing the trombone, and that was actually what I wanted to be in for the rest of my life was a jazz trombonist. I wanted to move to New Orleans and live down there and just play my trombone all the goddamn time. And that was like my big, huge focus. Then I hit my teenage angsty years. Well, before that, I got bored with trombone, and then I moved to trumpet, clarinet, flute, sax, pretty much anything I could get my hands on. Like I tried to make cool noise out of. But then when I hit my angsty years and started listening to Nirvana and Metallica and Pantera, that's what turned me on to like guitars. I started playing
The devil's
six string.
music.
I know. I started playing six string guitar because I wanted to be James Hetfield. Like that man
Who
was
didn't?
my idol when I was growing up. And yeah, so I played guitar in a bunch of bands in my early teenage years. Obviously, none of those really ever did anything. Um, and then when I took a break for a long time, and then I came back to it and started playing guitar, and I just couldn't find a goddamn band for the life of me. Everywhere I looked, like nobody was looking for a guitarist. So I was like, well, everybody's looking for a bassist, and that's how I started playing bass.
Yeah,
So I just wanted to play.
bass players are hard to come by, and drummers too, especially like ones that
Yeah.
aren't already tied to like four other projects. So.
Yeah. Yeah, since
Guitar.
I started playing bass, that's been the hard part is like, picking and choosing. Because I mean, I love playing music and I love collaborating with everybody. I love all styles of music except country. I can't really get behind country.
I'm with you
And
there.
so I love the technicality of it all. So I love to like push my limit and push my ability. So that's kind of where I go. Like Fear of the Masses obviously is my baby. That is my mainstay. I will ride Fear of the Masses until Fear of the Masses burns to the ground. Hopefully it never happens, but that will
I
always be
I don't see it
that.
happening.
No way. I don't think we would let it.
You
But yeah,
got Doug, you got Josh, you got John, you got your other guitar player, and you got you. This is probably the strongest I've seen the band in a long time. So, and I've
yeah.
known them for years.
Oh, I know. But yeah, I'm always open to collaborating with all musicians. I'll always give it a try. I've for the past like few years, a lot of my collaborations have been like file sharing and somebody would write this guitar line, and I'd record them a bass line and send them that, and then keep on going back and forth with a bunch of guys. But yeah, it's been fun. Like I said, I always I get bored quick too, so like I need to have fresh stuff all the time.
Mm.
The ADHD in me, my worst enemy sometimes.
Do you write your own stuff outside of like Fear the Masses, and then maybe occasionally bring some stuff into them and see what they think, or do you like have stuff yourself
Um,
that maybe you want to work on for yourself?
so far, anything that I write is brought to Fear the Masses first, and then if it doesn't jive, doesn't click, then yeah, it's on the chopping block for another project if there is one. But it's pretty like my I guess it would be easiest to explain it in the in the sense that I'm like more of a session based player. So typically somebody will come to me with the idea and be like, "Hey, what do you think of this? What do you got for it?" And then I write off of that.
Mm.
But original ideas, they're always I always bring them to Fear the Masses first.
Nice. I might have to talk to you then, because I want to do a solo album before I turn 40, and just strictly that, just a studio album, and maybe play one show after it's released, and that's
Right.
it. But
Yeah, man,
yeah.
I'm all about it.
So speaking of Fear the Masses, like how did that come to be for you? Like how did you join up?
That's a good story too. I used to play in a band called Rose from Deception, with a bunch of really cool dudes. And we played a show at Jewett City, one of Dwayne's show from Scene Productions. And I played Rose from Deception played first. We opened up the whole night, and then actually my youngest kid Dominic was there with me, and he came to see us play. And then Fear the Masses came on, and me both me and my son, we were instant fans,
Mm.
absolute instant fans. Like every song that they played off of the whole Rise album was absolutely incredible. And so we bought all the gear we could, chatted up with Josh for hours and hours, and I just came up with every excuse that I could just to continue to talk to the guy, just to I was
Yeah.
just that into him. And so then a couple of months later, Fear the Masses posted that they were looking for a bass player, and dude, I shot up out of my seat. I messaged everybody in the band that I could think of, and I was like, I want it, I want it, I want it. And and I got lucky enough, and I got lucky enough, and they gave it to me. And ever since then, it's been great. Fear the Masses has been a pivotal point in my career as a musician. After Fear the Masses came, we played some big shows with them as supporting artists, and that's when the sponsors came. That's when I started gaining, a little. I mean, bass players, we don't really ever get notoriety. Just not a thing that happens. Bass players never get the girl.
Oh, that's
But
got to change. We gotta push a new movement here. To come 2021, the bass players need to get laid too. So come on.
I know, right? Yeah. But yeah, after Fear the Masses drew enough attention. I was lucky enough to be endorsed by Spectre bass guitars, which are
Oh,
I will never recommend another bass guitar other than Spectre basses. Even though I like to build them myself, Spectre basses are by far the best that I've ever come.
I want to say I think that's what Jeannie plays too.
Yes, Jeannie. Yeah, from Crossing Rubicon. She's
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she plays an NSA custom, I believe.
Mm.
Um, yeah, this Spectre is super cool. They're grassroots oriented. They just recently got bought out by Korg, but they're still maintaining that grassroots, artist kind of vibe. They're not like good luck calling Ibanez and trying to figure out whether or not you even qualify for their lowest level endorsement with a company like that.
Yeah.
But these guys will actually talk to you. They'll call you back. Like I've had many face-to-face conversations with my artist relations guy. His name is actually Taylor McClam. Super nice freaking dude. I actually
That's
met
a
that guy.
pretty cool last name, McClam.
Yeah, and so another cool thing about that, he was actually the bassist for Orange 9mm.
I don't
And
think
when
I've
I
heard of him.
realized, oh my God, they were like 90s new metal. Oh, they were idols of mine in the early 90s. And I went down to Long Island to go actually drop a bass off to him because Spectre was nice enough to put in a dark glass tone capsule into my basses. And I went down for a Between the Buried and Me conference. A few guys from the band went down to Long Island and they did a clinic, and Taylor was there. So all the while, I mean, Between the Buried and Me is like their bass player, Mr. Briggs, is incredible, absolutely incredible, and he is one of my like bass player like idols too. I try and model a lot of what I do based off of his technique and his ability, and I was lucky enough to meet him, and I was like totally fanboying with that guy too, trying to keep it together, and then. I talked to Taylor, and Taylor's like, "Yeah, I actually I found Fear the Masses albums online, and I checked them out, and you really remind me of my old band." And I was like, "Yeah, what band's that?" And he's like, "Orange 9mm." And I was like, "What the?" I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Two of my idols in the same damn room, like. And it all started. All of this started. These doors opened up when when I got into Fear the Masses, and really started pushing it with them. Not just like riding the train, but really trying to push it forward with them.
Very
But
cool, man.
since then, I've been super lucky and super blessed. Spectre, like I said, I got pulled on by Spectre, and Galium Strings, I got pulled on by them. Dirtbag, Dirtbag Clothing,
Dirtbag
they're another
clothing,
one
yeah.
that pulled me on. So I've been super blessed with that kind of stuff so far.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So speaking of Fear of the Masses, you guys just dropped a brand new track
We
just the
did.
other day, Tipping Point. For my listeners, I will leave a link in the description to the Bandcamp website where you could download it. Please support Fear of the Masses, and pay for it. Don't just get it for free. You could please pay for it. It's a great track that talks about everything that's going on right now with the new civil rights movement and the Black Lives Matter movement and everything. It's very powerful, very heavy, and fucking amazing track. Like I immediately text Josh and Doug after. I was like, yo, like when is this album dropping? I can't wait.
Yeah.
And it's been 6 years since Rise. I can't believe it's been that long since that CD, because I remember
Yeah.
when the guys released that CD, I was still playing out live, and I played tons of shows with these guys, and I'm like, fuck, it's been 6 years already. Like,
Yeah.
I'm excited for you guys. So tell us more about it.
Well, Tipping Point, that is obviously a very hot topic button right now. It is about I don't even know really how to put it, all the bullshit that's happening really, and it is aggressive and it is raw. It definitely speaks the truth, and not just like everybody says that there's multiple versions of the truth. There's really not. There's one truth, and there's two other alternating stories, and like we don't like we are a politically motivated band, but we're not like we're not like vote for this guy, don't vote for this guy. Like that's not us. We're more the people.
Mm-hmm.
What we write about, what we push, like that, it's basically geared towards hopefully people waking up and realizing this crap for themselves. Like I don't need anybody telling me what I should vote for, what I should believe in. But in this day and age, it's really easy to get locked into like what you see on your own personal Facebook feed. And there's more out there. And people nowadays, we're in this culture where people just read the headline, not read any of
Yeah.
the article, and then come off with their opinion off of the headline. And like that's just not how it should be done. So we preach to people that just wake the fuck up. Like look around with your own eyes, not with Facebook's eyes. Like read stuff. Like be informed. Like that's the biggest thing. Like everybody in the band. We're different. Every one of us is different. But we do have that one common core, that one common belief that like we as a people, as humans, not even just Americans, really need to wake the fuck up and start paying attention to what is actually happening in the world. We're not extremists. I personally cannot get behind extremists of any side. I can't do it. There has to be a middle ground. There always has to be a middle ground, and that should be the focus and the goal. But sometimes, extreme measures need to be taken. So, people will pay more attention to actually work towards that.
I do agree because I mean, like, that's kind of what's going on right now. I mean, like,
Yep.
it's a lot of civil unrest and, people waking up, and like the protests were just, unbelievable. I mean, like in a great way, you know what I mean? Just like not just here in America, but it was all over the world too, just seeing
Yeah.
how many peaceful protests were happening. And yeah, there was some rioting and stuff too. And like, you know, as much as I, was against the rioting and stuff, like I got it, I understood because it's
Yeah.
just like, people have been saying for so long, you know what I mean? Like we're sick and tired of being, oppressed, and why isn't anybody listening? You know what I mean? And like
Right.
I get it, but hopefully now we're heading in the right direction where it seems like people are finally waking up, and hopefully we continue to head in the right direction, and be more progressive and be more equal and understanding to each other, and
Yeah.
that's all I want, so. But
Yeah. The understanding part, like that, like you said, like that's paramount for me. Like I mean, the our world is a pecking order. Like there are people that are more important than others. That's just kind of how it is. Some people that are more powerful, some people that don't have a whole lot of say, and some people that have a whole lot of say. But like it doesn't cost anything to be a good human,
mhm.
and you don't need to be a powerful good human. You don't need to be a unpowerful good human. Like you can be just strictly a good human, and no matter where you come from or what you do or where you're headed or what you believe in, I don't have to agree with you. You don't have to agree with me. That's fine. But there's absolutely no freaking reason to fight about it.
Exactly. And especially now with everyone with their political beliefs, it sucks when it gets uh you know it gets to a point where like people start getting mad at each other, and they start bickering and fighting over their political views. It's like, what happened to civil discussions? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
why can't anybody be civil about anything anymore without it breaking out into a fight? It's like it's almost like religion too. You talk about religion, people being at war for years over religion and stuff like that too. It's starting to turn into something like that too, where it's like, okay, this person's right, this person's left. Oh, you're wrong, I'm right. No, you're wrong, I'm right. It's like,
Right.
why can't we find any common ground here and just be civil about shit?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I 100% agree with you. Like, there's, I don't know, the extremists in either direction. And to be completely honest with you, I personally blame the media for it. Like,
Oh
that's
yeah.
that's what they do. Like, their job is to sell ads.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna the more ads you sell is definitely based off of how much traffic you get, and especially in the digital age now. Like nobody's buying newspaper ads anymore, and if
Mm-hmm.
they are, they're dirt fucking cheap because they know absolutely nobody looks at them. Nobody reads a newspaper anymore, and you know why? Because they read the headline that they see that comes through their Facebook page, and then boom, that's their new political view. It drives me bonkers. Like when's the last time that anybody like when's the last time that anybody has gone to um, like to see a senator or a prospective senator or a House of Representative to any of their commencement or not commencement speeches, but any of their political speeches?
Mm.
When's the last time that anybody has ever gone something, seen it face to face? Because I'm sorry, like if I see something on TV, like I don't trust it. Honestly, I don't trust it because everything gets taken out of context so bad, and like people to like chop it up into like little sections to purposefully pull it out of context, so that way you have absolutely no freaking idea what the dude's talking about. You just have this gut emotional reaction to what he's saying, but you have absolutely no idea what he's talking about.
And
So
unfortunately, it's just the way it is nowadays. Everyone has short attention spans, and everyone has one of these in their pockets. So
yep.
it's only getting worse. And the more we can't unplug, the more socially distant we get from each other. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I'm not going to claim to say that I know everything, you know what I mean? Like these are just
Yeah.
things that I see, and I acknowledge and stuff, and I don't want to overstep my boundaries and say something that I don't really fully understand. But I definitely feel like um the internet and stuff like that is really just it's so big now that like I remember a time where I still had dial up, you know what I mean? Like I had to wait for my parents to get off the phone so I could talk to my friends on AOL Instant Messenger, you know what I mean? And like You know, trying to explain that to my niece, and she's like, "Huh? Like you had to what?" While she's sitting there with a tablet watching YouTube videos. I'm like, I didn't have YouTube when I was your age, you know, this, that, and the other. I'm like,
Right.
fuck, I'm old. But just
Yeah.
seeing how much it's changed since then, and seeing how distant our race is becoming, and how everyone wants to be, you know, on social media. They want to be an influencer, and they want to this, that, and the other. It's like, well, I don't really know what to think. You know what I mean? If you're not using your influence for good, then what are you using it for? I always see her like Instagram models like posting fake pictures that, oh, I'm on my plane right now, my private plane or whatever. I'm like, bullshit. Like, no,
Yeah.
you're not. Like, you know how many articles I've read about like there are places around the world that there was a place in Russia. This guy owns like a beat down plane or something like that. It just sits on his property, and he rents it out to Instagram models that like want to take photos. And there's an apartment in New York that's like worth like a couple $1,000,000 or something like that. But the guy that owns it, he says, I'll rent it out to you for a couple hours if you're for you influencers to like show off, like, oh, check out my suite,
Wow.
blah blah blah. I'm like, this is so stupid. Like,
Yeah.
I went off on a tangent. I'm sorry, but it's just like shit like that like pisses me off. Like we're saying here, like, don't read the headlines, read the articles. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, do your research. You know, explore more. You know, don't go off just the headlines, because the headlines are what's getting you hooked to begin with, and feeding you lies to begin with. So
Right, exactly. You know, and I challenge everybody too. You know, with the same thing. Like, okay, so you voted in the presidential election, right? You voted in the primary. Some people aren't even allowed to vote in the primaries unless, you know, obviously unless they pick a side. You gotta pick a side to be able to vote in the primaries. So like, but when's the last time anybody went to their local town election? When's the last time that anybody showed up to vote for their selectmen, their House of Representatives, and their senators? I can tell you, in the town that I used to live in, Killingly, which is right next door to where I live now, we had the first year that I lived in Killingly, 7% of the population went and voted. 7%. That boggles my mind. And then everybody bitches all over Facebook about how, like, oh, the town is shit, nothing's changing, this side of the Connecticut sucks. And I'm like, well, did you go and vote? Do you know who you were voting for? Or did you just vote Democrat because Democrat, or did you just vote Republican because of Republican? Like,
yeah.
What did you personally do to help your own backyard?
I gotta admit, like, that was me for a long time. I didn't actually register until last year. And it just got to a point with me where it's just like I didn't really bitch about it, like, on social media. I'm like, oh, you know, fuck Lamont, you know, this, that, and the other. I didn't vote, no, because I didn't vote for him. I wasn't registered.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, I wasn't one of those kinds of people. But I mean, like, just seeing like everything that's been going on around me between Trump and, like, you know, what's going on in our state and everything, and then a few other issues that were bothering me too. And I did my research on it, and, like, you know, I'm still researching like who
Right.
I'm feeling towards the election this year. But I was just like, all right, I think enough's enough. You know, if I want to be heard, I got to register, I got to vote. You know what I mean? So
Right.
this will actually be the first time I'm voting this year. So
Good, man. Good
yeah,
on you. Good on
thanks,
you.
man. Thanks. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm not excited about our candidates, but it is what it is. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I totally hear you, man. And if it, like John's saying, if you want change, you know, you got to be the change. You gotta make your voice be heard, and you got to register and vote, because that's the only way we're gonna see change. So
Right. Right. And people need to realize there's more than two options.
mm-hmm.
There's always more than two options.
Yeah, I registered as independent. So I'm not going to be swayed by either of these parties, because I don't believe in either of them. So
Right. I'm just looking for the best person for the job.
Yeah.
Whoever that may be. It surely is not me, but somebody's got to be.
It's just these guys this year. It's like, do I want to vote for a pedophile with a bad toupee, or do I want to vote for an even older pedophile who seems really out of it? I'm sorry. Well, let's get off this. We're probably gonna piss somebody off, and I don't care. So Fear the Masses, guys. Yeah, we talked about the new single. Any inclination about when the new record's gonna hit?
Well, not quite yet. We were, unfortunately, the pandemic really messed our timeline up. But everything is in the works again. Things are starting to loosen up. We're going to start playing shows again. We got one coming up with Justin Marcotte from FET up in Fitchburg. I don't remember the date offhand. I'm a horrible band member. But yeah, things are starting to lighten up a little bit. So we're getting like wiggle room,
Mm,
like I mean, I haven't gotten paid since March 13th, so I'm paying bills, let alone recording time and mixing and mastering time. So
mm.
unfortunately, we we're just normal dudes, just trying to do what we want to do, and we got to live life too. So we're just taking the steps that we can and not getting too frustrated about the steps that we're not allowed to take.
So besides the band and the bills and everything, like during this time that you're off right now, what are you doing to occupy your time? Like, are you binge watching anything? Are you working out? Like, I know you said you were working woodworking and stuff, but like, what else have you been up to during all this to like just take your
Um,
mind off of stuff?
I have all but deactivated my Facebook account. The only thing you will ever find on my Facebook feed is bullshit stuff that just makes you laugh and wonder how fucking weird I am. Um, I don't really watch a whole lot of TV, to be honest with you. TV for me is like a background thing. I just put it on and do stuff. Like I've
Mm.
been working on my house a lot of yard work.
I
Like I
could
said, a
see I
lot
could
of
see you're working on your ceiling a little bit.
yeah, that's still a project that's underway. But
The life
yeah,
of a
building it.
homeowner.
Right, tell me about it. But yeah, building the garden, and just taking care of everything, and just seeing who I can see when I can see them, and just keeping my mind occupied. Big thing for me is unplugging, man, unplugging. Like there is so much negativity, so I just unplug and just stick to my backyard and
Mm.
make sure that I'm in a good headspace because nothing good happens if you're not.
This is true. I usually just go for drives, and lately, I can finally admit I started watching Game of Thrones for the first time. I
What?
got yeah, I never got into it. It was one of those things where like everyone was talking about it, and I'm like, yeah, fuck that. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna follow the crowd. I'm gonna be my own individual. Whatever. Fuck that show. And now I have HBO Max because, like, I'm a nerd, and the Snyder Cut's gonna be coming to it next year, and like
Yeah.
DC stuff is there and everything. So I'm like, I'm running out of things to watch. Am I really gonna give Game of Thrones a chance? So I popped it on, and like after like the first or second episode, I'm like, all right, I see the appeal. And now like I'm right near the end of season 1 right now. Like I already know what happens,
Yep.
so like I'm like, all right, like I see why everybody liked it, and I'm like, I can't wait to be disappointed at the end like everybody else was. So
Right. Yeah. Game, Game of Thrones was actually one of the few shows that like really sucked me in. For like the very first episode, like I intently watched that show,
mm.
and mainly for one reason: the fire. Because two things happened when fire was around. Dragons came out, killed a bunch of people, and Khaleesi got naked. Those are the That's what happened when fire came around. So
There's
yeah,
a lot of
that's
fucking in that show. There's a lot of fucking, a lot of
how.
rape, a lot of dicks. Like,
Yeah, well, they're good with the bad, right?
I fucking died laughing when Khaleesi, her brother fucking got melted with the
Yep,
gold over his head. I was like, that's what you get, you fucking bastard. Like, and
I
then
know, right?
I caught myself saying that. I'm like, fuck, this show hooked me. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that show got me. The Umbrella Academy, that one got
that's
me. That
another one
was
I gotta get into that one.
The Watchmen. I did watch a lot of the Watchmen when that came out.
That was a great series. I actually just finished that recently, and it's amazing how ahead of the times they work for that series. Like because
Right,
a lot of it's going on right now. So if you haven't
right.
checked out Watchmen on HBO, not the movie, I actually like the movie. A
Yeah,
lot of people don't like the movie, but I actually like the movie. But the series itself is very good. Definitely check that out. So
yeah, for sure.
yeah. Other than that, though, I mean, like the only other things I've been doing is like streaming part time, working on video projects, doing this podcast. I actually streamed last night with Doug and Nob from OFNR, Brian from The Shape, Dan, formerly of Vision. With them, we all played Cards Against Humanity online last night, which was a lot of fun. So
that's cool. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, I found a website, and it's just one of those things where it's everybody joins on the Discord, and then we can all talk to each other. It got a little out of control last night, and I had a little too many White Claws last night. So,
in White Claws.
Hey, you know
I'll tell you, the world started going to hell when White Claws came out. Just saying.
You know what though? I'd rather have 100 calories and feel a little bit of a buzz than drink 6 beers and 1,200, 1,400 calories later, or whatever the fucking math is for that. But again, I'm gonna be cutting back and eventually going sober myself for a little while, just so I can lose some weight. So, but yeah, I'm not. I felt very proud of myself today. I usually buy alcohol when I go out grocery shopping to get me through the week, and I went grocery shopping today. I didn't buy any alcohol. I have nothing in my house right now, so.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am. The last time that I was even remotely close to buzzed was at our last show, actually. But other than that, like I don't really ever drink. Like I'm very much a social drinker. That's pretty much all that I do. I mean, I smoke cigarettes and drink every now and then, but that's pretty much it.
Those two go hand in hand,
dude. It's
breaking that habit for me sucked before I got into vaping. Like, yeah. But now I totally hear you, man. Like now it's just like, for me, it was just, I get home every night and like, I would have like 2 beers to just get tired and go to bed, because I wouldn't be going to bed till like 3:30 in the morning. I don't get home from work until 1 a.m. And then by then you take a shower, you get ready for the next day or whatever. And then you sit down, you try to unwind and watch TV, and like you can't fall asleep. You know what I mean? Right. So it's like, okay, I'll have a beer. Okay, 2 beers. And then you're like, oh, fuck. I've had 2 or 3 beers yesterday, and I had another 2 to 3 today. What the fuck is going on? And then it just became a problem. So
yeah. That's good. It's good that you recognize that. Yeah. I mean, anybody that's ever come to see a Fear of the Masses show, if you've ever actually happened to notice the bass player, which not many people do, but I'm kind of I'm very animated. I'm a different person. That's why I play. That's my main reason why I play is I love like the emotional release that I get from actually physically playing the show is 99% of why I even play music. So the alcohol just kind of helps, and like everybody's happy, everybody's fun, everybody's drinking, and that's the only time I ever really get buzzed is when we go to shows. But most of our shows, I live in the northeast corner of Connecticut, so most of the shows that we play are like on the other side of the goddamn state. So I gotta rein it in, because eventually I'm going to have at least an hour drive home no matter where I am. So
yeah, I hear you. I was the same way getting up on stage. Like I wouldn't really drink before a show. I'd save it for like after, because I had to save my voice and everything. But I would always like be like full of energy up on the stage. And then as soon as we would finish and break down everything, okay, I need a beer. Like, Daddy worked hard enough tonight. Daddy needs a drink. So
yeah, for me it's vodka and Red Bulls. If anybody ever comes to one of our shows and I am not entertaining you, just buy me a Red Bull vodka.
There you go.
I will perk right the hell up, and I will embarrass the shit out of myself just to make you laugh.
That's so bad together, because it's an upper and a downer at the same time. It's so bad for your heart. I couldn't get into Red Bull. Like I couldn't get past the flavor, but like you mix Red Bull and Jaeger together, like 2 things I hate drinking separately, but you put them together, it's fucking amazing. But
anyhow, that works. That's like get John in trouble juice is what I call that.
Oh man, we gotta stop talking about drinks. I'm gonna fucking want one, but no. Well, John, this has been really good, man. Like this is actually like the most on time podcast I've had in a while. So
all right,
we're actually like just over the hour mark. Is there anything else you want to talk about or plug before we close it out?
Well, yeah, actually, I'd just like to say thanks for anybody that listens to the podcast that's a fan of Fear of the Masses. The feedback that we've gotten from Tipping Point the new release has been absolutely incredible. And we as a band, and me and myself personally, we definitely appreciate that. We put our hearts and our souls into everything that we do, and it's just really nice to see people pay attention to it. You got, and it comes from two different angles too. You get a fan, the typical person in the audience that's like, wow, that song is badass. I love the message. And then you get the musicians that are like, oh my god, dude, that was incredibly produced. Who did that for you? And like, so you get it from like the nerdy side, and then you get it from the emotional side, and like it's just been absolutely incredible. And we definitely appreciate the fans. And we do what we do because we believe it's the right thing to do for us, ourselves, and for you guys as well. So just thanks.
And where can people find your music?
They can find it. We're on Bandcamp. The new Tipping Point is on Bandcamp. You just type in Fear the Masses Tipping Point, and then it'll pop right up. The links for it are all over the Fear the Masses Facebook page. You can find us at fearthemasses.com too. All of our music, the whole rise, everything that's released now is all over Amazon Music, iTunes, Spotify, pretty much any avenue you can possibly think of.
And definitely pick up that music, man, and get Tipping Point. Like I said, I'll leave a link below to the website. I know Josh said and Doug said that you guys are going to be working on the website a little bit more, but I'll leave the links below. I'll also leave the Bandcamp link below for people to download the track too. Is there anything else you want to plug or?
No, man. Other than thanks to you, this has been great fun. Not too shabby for my first podcast. I actually love listening to your episodes.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. In the meantime, you guys can. I can't even talk right now. It's Sunday. I'm like not in relax mode right now. I'm trying to. Let me take two. Okay. If you guys want to subscribe to us, you're probably watching this video on YouTube right now. Check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/road2travel podcast. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit that bell icon to get notified every time we drop a new video. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/roadswe'vetraveledpodcast. You can email us at roadswe'vetraveledpodcast@gmail.com if you guys have any questions, comments, stories, how you're surviving Armageddon right now. Let me know. I would love to hear it and read it on the air for you. I'm missing something here. Oh, you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you guys get your podcasts. I am butchering this outro so bad right now. It's been 13 episodes now, and I'm doing horrible.
We're just probably keeping it real.
And you guys can check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/jrbucklegaming. You can follow me on my portfolio website at www.alanmpelletierjr.com. You can see the Rubicon video that I did for them for I Will Remain. I got to put up the lyric video I just did for a band called Fectology called Lost Angel. That will go up there very soon. But you can check out all my video work, my artwork, my graphic design work. Hit me up for commission pieces or video work, whatever you guys need. So, I think that's going to do it. John, thank you very much for doing this, man. I put you on my list, and I was going to hit you up in a couple weeks, and unfortunately, a few people canceled on me. So I was like, all right, let me go down. I'm like, oh, hey, John wants to be a guest. Let me see if he wants to do today. So
yeah, man, anytime. This was a lot of fun. I'm happy to do it. Whenever you just want to sit around and bullshit.
Yeah, definitely, man. We'll definitely have you on again. Maybe we'll have all the guys from Fear of the Masses on when the new record drops. So I definitely want to have Josh and Doug back on here. We'll bring you back on. We got to bring John, your drummer, on next. John's been asking to come on, and so looking forward to it. So again, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. All right, you take care.
Anytime.
Peace.